During World War II, Nazi Germany occupied vast territories across Europe, implementing brutal policies to suppress resistance and maintain control. One of the most feared and devastating tactics employed by German forces was the use of reprisals, harsh retaliatory measures against civilians and communities in response to partisan attacks, sabotage, or resistance activities. These reprisals were designed to instill terror, discourage opposition, and maintain order, but often resulted in widespread suffering and deepened animosity toward the occupiers. The strategy behind reprisals. German reprisals were a calculated form of collective punishment intended to deter resistance. By exacting severe consequences on civilian populations for partisan actions, the Nazis hoped to discourage collaboration with resistance fighters. Maintain control. Fear of reprisals helped suppress uprisings and sabotage, keeping occupied territories under German dominance. Punish and intimidate. Reprisals served as brutal warnings to those who might consider defying Nazi authority. Orders from the highest levels of Nazi leadership, including Hitler himself, often called for ruthless and disproportionate reprisals, sometimes executing dozens or even hundreds of civilians for every German soldier killed or injured. Common forms of reprisals. Mass executions. Entire villages or neighborhoods were sometimes rounded up and shot in retaliation. Hostage-taking and executions. Civilians, including hostages, were executed to punish or deter resistance acts. Burning villages. Settlements suspected of harboring partisans were frequently destroyed. Destruction of property. Homes, farms, and infrastructure were demolished as punishment. Deportations. Civilians were sometimes sent to labor camps or concentration camps in reprisal. Notable examples across Europe. France. The massacre at Oradour-sur-Glane in 1944 saw over 600 civilians killed in retaliation for resistance activities. Greece. The village of Distimo was the site of a horrific massacre by SS troops, killing hundreds of civilians. Yugoslavia. German forces often responded to partisan attacks with brutal reprisals, including the destruction of villages and mass executions. Belgium. The village of Lidice in neighboring Czechoslovakia was razed by the Nazis after the assassination of a high-ranking official. Poland. The German occupation forces frequently carried out collective punishments, including mass shootings and deportations, particularly in response to the Warsaw Uprising. Impact on civilian populations. The effects of German reprisals were catastrophic. Human suffering. Thousands of innocent civilians lost their lives or were displaced. Social trauma. Communities were torn apart and fear permeated daily life. Fueling resistance. In many cases, reprisals strengthened the resolve of occupied peoples to resist Nazi rule. Long-term scars. The memory of reprisals remains a painful part of national histories across Europe. Legal and moral accountability. After the war, German reprisals were widely condemned as war crimes. The Nuremberg trials and other post-war tribunals prosecuted those responsible for ordering and carrying out reprisals. Reprisals violated the laws of war, particularly the principle of distinction protecting civilians.